"I can direct a film, but I cannot direct my child's life." That sentence, once spoken by Rob Reiner in a rare moment of vulnerability, has now become the most haunting line associated with his name. As the devastating news spread, Hollywood sank into hushed speculation about a tragedy that had quietly taken root inside a home once filled with warmth. People whispered, posing cold, unsettling questions about the relationship between a father who spent his entire life healing others through cinema and a son who had made his heart bleed for so many years. No one truly knows where the truth lies. What remains visible behind the name Rob Reiner, the man who created When Harry Met Sally? The Princess Bride Stand By Me is the silhouette of a powerless father watching his child spiral downward as if trapped in a film over which he no longer held the right to edit. Just 2 weeks before fate closed its final curtain, he was forced to utter words he had never spoken in all his life. He's been through rehab 17 times and failed every single time. "I know that at any moment he could take my life." And before this story fully unfolds, if even one film by Rob Reiner ever caused your heart to slow, leave a heart symbol as a quiet offering of incense for an artist who devoted his life to telling stories of kindness, yet could not save the most painful story of his own. Only recently did Rob Reiner finally peel away the silence surrounding his family and speak about the son who had long been breaking his heart. It was a story he had never dared to face publicly for many years. In a studio washed in soft yet chilly light, he leaned slightly forward. It was not the posture of a director accustomed to commanding hundreds of people on a film set, but the posture of a father searching for the courage to speak about the thing that hurt him most. The host asked just one gentle question about his family. Rob fell silent. He clasped his hands together as if gripping onto something solid. The air thickened for a few seconds that felt longer than usual before his voice finally emerged low, rough, and breaking at the end of the sentence. "There are things you only understand once you become a father. And there are also things that even after a lifetime of being a father, you remain powerless to fix." Then he spoke his son's name, Nick Reiner. No evasion, no detours. As if he knew that if he did not say it this time, he never would. Nick was born in 1993, the son of Rob and Michelle Singer Reiner, the woman who had been by his side since 1989. Growing up in an artistic family surrounded by film sets and doors of privilege that were always open, Nick never had to worry about a lack of opportunity. His father's fame was enough to smooth every possible path. But there was one thing that money and prestige could not provide: the right to live as an ordinary person unshadowed by the weight of the Reiner name. And that absence slowly became a fracture no one noticed in time. From very early on, Nick grew up inside a silence called pressure. His grandfather was Carl Reiner, a towering figure in American comedy. His father was Rob Reiner, the man behind films that became part of collective memory. Two immense shadows, two names powerful enough to render any of Nick's personal efforts insignificant before they even began. As a result, the relationship between father and son always carried a gap that was hard to define. Nick once admitted that he and Rob were never truly close during his childhood. Rob loved his son, but his life was consumed by film sets, by one project after another, while Nick stood on the outside looking into a world where everyone called his father a genius. Affection existed, but it was fragile too, fragile to become a true anchor. That pressure followed Nick into every choice he made. He had to be different, had to prove he was worthy of the Reiner name. In this family, mediocrity seemed to have no place. What should have been motivation slowly turned into a burden, then into an invisible tightening loop he did not know how to escape. Everyone else found their footing. Jake Reiner built a steady career in acting, writing, and producing. Rami chose an independent, private path. Tracy, the adopted daughter, remained connected to the arts through a quiet, persistent journey. Only Nick veered off course, not because he lacked privilege or talent, but because the battle he faced was internal, a place where family fame could not save him, and even the love of those closest to him could not stand up in his place. Rob Reiner continued, still unable to look directly into the camera. He grew up under the lights, but the lights are not always warm. He paused for a beat, then admitted something many successful fathers only dared to think in silence, that he had believed stability, comfort, and the right environment would be enough to keep his child from losing his way. And only when everything began slipping beyond his control did Rob Reiner understand there are voids that fame and success simply cannot fill. Nick's adolescence did not begin with a dramatic fall. It began with changes so small, so subtle, that a busy father could easily reassure himself they were just part of growing up. Nick started coming home later. Not wild, out-of-control nights, but schedules drifting little by little. Conversations around the dinner table became less frequent. Answers grew shorter. Eye contact faded. He wasn't causing trouble. He just slowly disappeared, Rob Reiner said. Nick began drinking at the age of 15 when everything was still vague and undefined. At first, it was just a few times with friends trying it out. Nothing that seemed alarming. No one thought that from there everything would slide in a different direction. And alcohol was only the beginning. What followed was addiction to other substances, arriving slowly, quietly, and harder to name. Nick did not turn to them out of curiosity. He turned to them because for the first time, everything in his head could go quiet. He no longer had to think about who he was or what others expected him to be. In those moments, Nick was temporarily free of the Reiner name. Not Rob's son, not Carl's grandson. Just a young person allowed to exist without comparison, without questions, without being measured by what he had not yet achieved. When Rob Reiner confronted his son directly about the addiction, he did not raise his voice. He did not resort to threats, the kind many believe are necessary in moments like that. He spoke slowly, choosing his words carefully, like a father who still believed that if he were honest enough, patient enough, things could still turn around. Nick sat across from him and listened. He nodded when expected, said he understood, said he would try, like a child who knows how to reassure his father. After that conversation, there was a brief period when things seemed to settle. Nick stayed home more. He kept his promises just enough that no one felt the need to ask further questions. There were no clear signs that everything was truly fine, but there was also nothing that forced Rob to worry immediately. And it was precisely that fragile calm that allowed him to hope not much, but enough to believe that the conversation had made a difference. Then Nick entered rehab for the first time. Rob did not say much about that period. He only said that he waited and tried to hold on to faith. When Nick returned, Rob was there. He looked at his son for a long time, as if searching for a sign, however small, that the days just past had not been meaningless. But that faith did not vanish in a single dramatic moment. It eroded slowly through avoided glances, lengthening silences, and answers that grew shorter by the day. Rob went on. There's one thing no one prepares you for. It's the feeling of hope. And then having to learn how to lower it so it doesn't hurt too much every time things fail. After that came more rounds of rehab. Each time Nick left a treatment center, Rob was there waiting. No cameras, no media, just a father standing quietly. But addiction does not care about the presence of parents. It returns slowly and patiently. Nick fell again more than once. He entered and left rehab facilities up to 17 times, with periods of drifting, even homelessness, because he refused to return to treatment. And after each time, the distance between father and son did not grow wider, only heavier, weighed down by an ever-deepening sense of helplessness. Rob Reiner did not hide that truth. In the interview, he did not claim that he had done everything right. He said that he had done everything he could and came to understand that what you can do is sometimes still not enough. You can't stand